welcome you to the CSRM Sports Ministry Training. And I'm Greg Linville, and I serve as the Executive Director with CSRM. And with me is Jonathan Detweiler. Jonathan, welcome. And
thanks, yeah. Great to be here.
And you are with?
Yes, I work with Uttermost Sports.
So you have, that should be coming up on your screen, and you should be able to see that you've got some places that you can contact us.
Yes.
All right, so what is this sports ministry training that we're talking about for CSRM? CSRM is the Association of Church, Sports, and Recreation Ministers, and we're in official partnership with about 10 other ministries. One of them is Uttermost, and so Jonathan has had years of experience at training people for local church sports outreach and ministry, and he's done that with AIA, he's done that with now Uttermost, and he's
previously
been
with Church Sports International,
Church Sports,
Rodger.
absolutely. So we've got some great background with Jonathan here, and we're glad that Uttermost is an official partner with CSRM. So you see on the screen the overview about this training. CSRM's vision is a changed life. The changed life is someone who comes to Christ and their whole life is transformed in terms of their family, in terms of their career, in terms of their vocation, etc., etc. But in order to accomplish that changed life, our mission, CSRM's mission, is to equip local churches. And that comes through a 4C strategy. One of them is doing what we're doing today. And we think then that what's going to happen is that churches around the world that are trained in how to use sports outreach as a methodology are going to be able to change those lives. So that's the overview, and there's a few things that help us conceptualize how to do that. First of all, training pillars. We are producing this series of training videos because we believe that we need to be about producing, reproducing reproducers. And I'll just say that again, producing, reproducing reproducers. So, in order for us to go forward, we are going to do that with partnership with viable ministries like Uttermost and our churches. And the guiding principles for this is going to be twofold as well. Evangelism through the local church. Obviously, it's a local church movement that we're trying to support and build. But when you put these two together, what we're really calling this is evangelistic disciple making. So rather than trying to seek a decision on a particular day of somebody who thinks, oh, that sounds good, and it's just today's decision, we have to understand that what we're really after is lifelong disciples of Christ. And that's different. Thoughts about that, Jonathan?
Yeah, well, I'm excited about this training. I think Greg brings a whole wealth of experience through his background in teaching at a university level and as a doctor in sports ministry. And I have many years internationally in more than 70 countries, and also practically leading sports ministry at every level. And for me in my own work, I've seen that we usually do the sports part pretty well. Now, okay, we can always do better.
Not always, but it's better than sometimes.
Generally, we do the sports part well because we're into athletics and sports. But the area where we've always struggled the most, I think, is in making the disciples.
That's right.
And so the whole intent of this training is to help you to continue to do the sports well, but also to really focus on how can I make disciples who are making disciples, reproducing reproducers.
That's right.
And so, yeah, I'm really excited about what we're going to do through this time, and I'm thankful that you guys are joining us. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about the training and how it's going to work.
Yeah, there's a few things that we want to communicate in this introductory piece. One is that we're dually recording this. We're recording this for those that are able to use the Wi-Fi and WebEx, but we're also having a standalone. So we're kind of got two cameras and we're going back and forth, but we're trying to make it as accessible to everybody around the world, regardless of their technological
advantage or disadvantage.
Yeah, right. But the philosophy regardless of how we're doing the recording and transmission of this, the philosophy is that this training is based upon this 3-tier paradigm that CSRM has pioneered. Level 1, theological truths. Level 2, philosophical principles. And level 3, methodological models. Now, let me just give you an example of how that will work. And what you'll see as we go through this series of training videos, that we're going to try to connect these three for you. Because we've run into problems, haven't we, Jonathan, in the sports ministry movement with suddenly a methodology is not working and we're trying to figure out why. Often it's because it's not rooted in these principles.
That's right.
So let me give you just one so you can grab hold of it. If we say theologically that competition is evil, well, then we're going to come to a methodology that we rule out all competition. We're not going to keep score, we're not going to keep standings, let's just roll the ball out and roll around on the floor with it and have some fun. And and there's places for that. But if we come to determine that theologically that the competition is solid, its foundation can be found in the scriptures, then how do we incorporate the competition into our sports? Because sport is a microcosm of competition.
Right.
So we're going to help you think these things through theologically, and then philosophically, and then methodologically. This is going to come through a little bit clearer as we move forward, but we just wanted to give a little bit of an introduction here to begin with, to help you understand where we're going with this whole endeavor.
Right. And, if I can just share a personal story, I was involved in sports ministry for more than 10 years at a very practical level, doing all of the ministry. It was only after 10 years that someone actually told me that sports ministry was something that was close to God's heart, and that God actually was approving of my sport and my sport ministry. And I already knew that, but when somebody told me how I could see that from Scripture and how to apply these things across the board theologically, philosophically, and how they line up then with what I'm doing methodologically, it all fit together and wove together and gave me just such a stronger foundation for what I was doing and a deeper passion for what God was calling to do in my life and how He wanted to use me. So I think that's really our desire for this training, that you will come away with this, or from this, with a real strong foundation and a vision and even a greater passion for knowing and serving God and loving these talents and gifts that He's given us, and the use of sport and sport ministry.
And be able to conceptualize what you need to do.
Right.
Because the theological is going to remain the same across the ages, across the cultures.
Exactly.
Philosophy is going to change a bit, but methodology maybe should be changing every year.
And it certainly changes from country to country,
and culture to culture,
right,
and time period to time period.
Yeah.
And so here's one of the things that I know that we've been concerned about within CSRM, Jonathan, and that is that now that this movement has about 70 to 80 years, think about that. We've been at this movement 70 to 80 years. Some of the first mission teams were in the 1940s. And we've grown and grown and grown. And so now guess what? We have a history. The sports outreach movement has a history.
Right.
Well, you know what that means that we can do now? Finally, we can do, after all these years, we can join the church of 2,000 years and say, but we've always done it like that.
That's trouble.
And so our methodologies are what are typically taught, but they're not taught from these other two strong foundations.
Right.
And so this series that we're going to produce, and that you as a watcher, listener have entered into, is going to start to take all of your methodological training and help you reevaluate it through this 3-tiered paradigm. And we're going to, I think, help you develop a much stronger, and maybe you're going to keep the same methodology, but maybe not as a result of it. All right, now, Jonathan, tell people where we're going. The next video that we're going to shoot here starts in on our first topic
Right.
And it's going to be what?
Well, our first topic is going to be what we call foundation, or the church and sport ministry, basically. And we're going to be laying out just some foundational principles that will begin to help you to form this vision and to refine your calling, and whether you've been in sports ministry a long time or not. And the way that it's set up is we will have a number of topics that we will start on, and they'll be divided into sections that are roughly 15 to 20 minutes long.
Right.
So you'll see multiple videos, multiple PowerPoints that go with one series of a topic, if that makes sense.
Right. So the first topic is going to be in terms of the foundations.
Right.
And the first session is going to be on sports ministry and the church.
Right.
So that's where we're going to go to the next one. I hope that you'll tune in for that one. And so you've got the contact numbers there on your screen. Feel free to contact us. Thanks, Jonathan, and we'll see you on the next one.